see who the best zip zap zoomers are. Let me step out at this point. Start us off, Alex.
Zip, 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 zip.
Sorry. Zip backwards. All right. Let's give him a pass on just this very first one.
Okay.
Okay. But technically it was a mistake. But all right, go ahead, Jameson. Start us off.
Zip, 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 zip,
Zoom.
Well, who's that?
Zoom.
Oh, zip, zap, zip, zip, zap.
Oh wait, did you say zap? You said zap. You said zap the wrong direction.
Oh, yeah, it's up.
I didn't say it. All right. Now we're starting. All right, start us off, Dan.
All right. Zip,
Zap.
zip,
Zip.
zip, zip,
Zip, zap, zip.
zip, 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 zoom. Zip, 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 zoom. Zip,
Zip.
zip, zip, zap, zoom, zip.
Oh. All right, fine. All right, start us off.
Zip.
Zap.
Zip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way?
I missed it. Go for it.
Zip, 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 zip,
Zap.
zip, zip, zoom. Zip, 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 zoom. 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 Zoom.
No. Stop. Once you get zoomed, you must zip in one direction or another.
Okay.
Start us off.
Right. Zoom, zip, 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 zip,
Zap.
zip,
Nah.
zip, zip, zoom. Zip, zip,
Zip, zap, zip.
zip, zip,
Zip, zip,
zap,
zip, zip, zip,
zoom. Zip, zip, zip,
zip,
zap,
zip, zip.
zip, 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 zap, zip, zap, zip. Zoom. Zip, zip, zip,
Zip, zap, zip.
zip, zip, zap, zip, up, zip.
You're right. It's fine. You're right the first time. Keep going. Okay, it's fine. You didn't make a mistake.
Yeah, we're good. Zip, zip,
Zap,
zip, 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 zip,
zap, zip.
zip, zap,
Yeah, you should have said zap. You said zip. Zero. Yeah. That's right, right?
Yeah.
You should have said that. That's right. It's zap. You change direction, you have to say zap. All right, Alex. It's like with the teams. Let's engage. Step forward a little bit, Saeed. All right, you're ready to play in this game. Start us off, Saeed.
zip, zip,
Like you mean.
zip, zap, zip, zip,
Zip,
zap,
Yeah.
zip, 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 zoom.
Oh.
Zip, 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 zap, zip, zip, zip,
zoom. Zip,
zip, zip, zip, zoom. Zip,
zip, zip, zip,
zap,
zip, zip, zoom.
zip, zap, zip, zip,
Zip. Wait, oh, zip, sorry.
zip, zip, zoom. Zip, 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 zap, zip, 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 zoom. Zip,
Zip, zip,
zap,
zip, zip,
zip, zap, zip, zip,
zip, zip.
zip, 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 zoom. Zoom.
All right, start us off, Shufu.
Zip, 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 zap, zip, zip,
Zip, zip.
zip, zap, zip,
Zap,
zap.
zap.
Oh, man. You got me.
All right, gotta keep your head in the game. Start a line.
Okay. Zoom.
No. Start.
That was aggressive.
Okay. Okay, so I like a clap. Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, start us off.
Zip,
Zip, zip.
zip, zip, zap, up.
Oh.
Zip,
Zip,
zip, zap,
zip, zip.
zip, 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 zap.
Yeah.
Zoom. Zip, zap, zip,
Zip, zip, zip.
zip, zoom. Zip, zip, zip,
Zip, zip.
zip, 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 zip.
All right. Saeed, like your life depends on getting this ball of energy in the right hand, right time. All right, are you ready? Ready? All right, start us off, Alex. Zip, zip. Yeah.
Zip, zap,
Yeah.
zip,
Zip. Yeah.
zip, zip, zip. Oh. My life.
All right, go for it, David.
Zip, 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 zip,
Zip, zip,
zoom. Zip, zip, zap. Zip,
Yeah.
zip, zip, zap. Zip, 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 zap. Zip, zip, zoom. Zip, zoom. Zip, 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 zip.
zoom. Zip, zip,
Zoom.
zip,
Zip, zip, zip,
zip,
zip, zap.
zip, zip.
Zip, zap. Up.
Oh, no.
No, zip, zip,
Zap.
zip.
Wait. You said zap. You should have said zip.
Those two zaps.
Two zaps.
Two zaps. Oh, I can't have nice things.
Start us off, Jim.
Zip,
Zip,
zip, zip, zap. Zip,
zip, zip,
zip, zip,
zip,
zap.
zip, zip,
Zip, zip,
zip, zip,
zoom. Zip, zip,
zip,
zip, zoom. Zip, zip,
zoom.
zip, zip, zoom. Zip, zip,
Zip, zip,
zap.
zip, zip,
Zip, zap. Zip,
zip, zip.
zoom.
Zip, zap, zip.
Zap. Oh.
Emily, bend the knees for me. I'm like you're ready to play some basketball or some dodgeball. All right, start us off, Emily.
Zip,
Zip, zip, zoom. Zip,
zip, zip,
zap.
zip, zip,
Zip,
zip, zap, zip,
zip,
zoom.
zip, zip,
Zip, zip,
zip.
zip.
All right, go for it, Ricky.
Zip,
Zip,
zip, zip,
zip, zap. Zip,
zip.
All right, go for it, Shruti.
zip, zip, zap. Zip,
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 zap.
zip,
Zip, zip, zoom. Zip, 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 zoom. Zip,
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 zap,
zip,
zip,
zip, zap. Zip,
zoom.
zip, zip, zap. Zip, zip, zap. Zap, zip.
All right. Good, David, your hands are just kind of resting. I want to see them like up and engaged, like they're ready to get in and receive something. Yeah, like that. All right. Noah Syndergaard. Yes, like Noah Syndergaard. Start us off, David.
Zip,
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 zoom. Zip,
zip,
zip, zap. Zip,
zip,
zap.
zip,
Zip, zoom.
zip,
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 zoom. Zip,
zip,
zap.
zip,
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 zap.
zoom.
Zip,
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 zip, zip, zoom. Zip,
zip,
zoom. Zip, zip,
zip,
zip,
zap,
zip,
zip,
zap.
zip,
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 zip, zap. Zip,
zip.
zoom. Zip, zap.
All right, go for it, Alex.
Zip, zip,
Zip,
zip,
zip,
zip, zip, zap. Zip, zip,
zip,
zoom. Zip, zip, zoom. Zip,
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 zap,
zip,
zip,
zap.
zip,
Zip,
zap,
zip,
zip,
zip, zip, zip,
zip,
zip,
zip,
zoom. Zip,
zip,
zip, zap. Zip,
zoom, zip,
zip,
zip.
zoom. Zip, zip. Oh.
All right, start us off, like.
God, I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alex. Add attention.
Zip, zap.
Add attention the whole time. You're only engaged when you're doing zip.
Zip, zip, zip,
Zoom,
Zip.
zip, zip.
Ready to give it.
Okay. Zap,
zip,
zip, zap, zap. Oh,
All right. I think we only go one more because you can't really do it with three. So who would be the three best zip zap zoomers? Starts off.
zip,
zip,
zip, zip, zip.
zip.
All right, fantastic. So why do I have you do that silly exercise? What are the takeaways there? Yes.
Emphasis on who you're directing your energy and revolt to.
Yeah. You have to be clear about who you're directing it to and what you're saying. What else?
Very focused.
Very focused. So when we're giving a presentation, we want to focus our attention, we want to focus our message on someone. We don't want the audience to think that we're not engaged or not, with this. I mentioned to Alex, I wanted to see him engaged the whole time. I mentioned it seemed like he was only engaging you through the zip. It was like, zip, zip, it's over. So you're engaged and present even when you're not making those body language gestures. Anything else?
You're prepared to respond.
So this is a give and take between you and the audience that you're physically prepared for, that resonates with you. Anything else? Good stuff. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, so it's total body language. So it's hands, eye contact, it's legs, it's movement, it's shoulders, it's the whole package.
Yeah, and I mentioned to a couple of people, like, bend the knees. Did anyone, when you were looking around, did it look like the person I suggested bend their knees, or when they did that, did they seem like you wanted to have more of an intense conversation with them? Yeah, yeah, fantastic. All right, ma'am, last one.
We were all in this together until we, so you're not isolated in this.
And you can take that takeaway to giving a presentation. We're in this together. It's not me against you and I'm going to lean back. It's we're engaged in something together. Okay, so let's move on to the next exercise, continuing how we can use good gestures. This exercise is called space substance. It's the idea of creating an imaginary object in your hand. So if you were to tell a story about some imaginary object, maybe you were to tell a story about some big club that some scary guy at a bar picked up, you might sort of describe this club physically, and you might create it with your hands. And the more vividly you can create that for your audience, the more entertained they might be by your story. But also, as you create this object physically, you'll engage yourself in that story more. So I'm going to take you through a process of just creating something in your hands. You get a chance to practice it, practice getting your whole physical being into telling this story. So I'm going to have you, let's see how we're going to do this. We're going to use mostly this space. You can use a little bit of the side space. How we'll do this exercise is you'll just kind of walk around. It'll be individual, and you just listen to me walk you through this scenario of you creating this object. So let's just start with kind of like roaming around this space and using a little bit of that space. Shake the arms, shake off the last exercise. So, yeah. All right, just come on in, come on out. Walk. Take a couple deep breaths, students. All right, so and get some movement too. Just kind of walk around aimlessly like you're a bunch of pinballs in a pinball machine. Fantastic, fantastic. All right, so as you shake off the day, shake off the last exercise, I would like you to reach down and pick up an imaginary ball. All right? And I would like you to, as you continue walking around with this ball, I would like you to make some decisions about how big this ball is, how heavy this ball is. Is this ball made of cloth? Is it made of plastic? Is it bouncy? Sort of saggy when you touch it? How does holding it affect your shoulders? Does it make your biceps tense up a little bit? Is it so heavy that it makes your knees bend a little bit? Just kind of play with that for a few seconds. Decide what exactly you're holding in your hand. Good sure thing. I'm just saying hands, I'm not saying a ball. There we go, Ricky. Oh, and I'm sort of saying something, Jim. Not quite.
I'm still on the side. I'm on the side.
Okay. I'm saying maybe 2 balls for the sure. Oh, good, Al. Yeah, he got something. Al's got something in his hands for sure.
It's a child.
All right. Now, I would like you to imagine that for some reason, this ball is getting bigger. It just kind of expands in your hand or hands for whatever reason. Yeah, it starts to get a little heavier too. It's weird, isn't it? Your ball starts to get heavier. How does that change the way you hold it? Yeah, some concern there, Emily. I like it. Oh, good, Daniel. Yeah. All right, yeah. Now, in addition to getting, good. All right, in addition to getting bigger and heavier, all of a sudden this ball starts to get a little hot.
I'm dropping it.
Now, suppose you don't want to drop it because maybe there are classmates or maybe there's kids around. You're afraid that you might drop this dangerous thing, which all of a sudden starts getting hot, maybe some sort of toxic whatever. Yeah, so you're not sure how you feel about holding it, but you still have to hold it. No, you cannot put it on the side of the shelf. All right. Now, not only is it getting heavy and hot, but it's also getting a little wet for some reason. Yeah, David. I like it. Okay, now I see something in your hands. I didn't see it before, David. Now I see it. Yeah, good job, Mike. Good, Renee. All
Are you
right,
supposed to have adopted a circular pattern?
Good. Disrupt the pattern. I like it. All right, good, Lavanya. Excellent. I see something in your hand. Oh, good, Evan. Good. All right. Go ahead and set that to the ground and let it just melt into the ground. It's safe now. Good. Dust off the hands. That's kind of it. Good. Round of applause / dust. Go ahead and mosey back to your circle. And let's do this. Let's, Shruti, can you bend down and pick up a ball for us of your choosing? And let's pass that around the circle. So Shruti's going to pass it to someone, and we're just going to keep passing that, like across, like actually throw it. Like throw it to someone. Yeah, yes. Oh.
There it comes down.
Floating through the air.
Nice. There we go. Yeah. All right, good, Shruti. Set that ball down, and Ricky, can you pick up another ball, and let's pass this one around, a smaller ball. Yeah, smaller ball. All right, let's pass this around fast. Yeah. There we go. Yes. Good. Did you notice how when the ball was thrown over there, it's like everybody reacted to it, right? We didn't know where that ball was. It had its life, all right? It had something that we were engaged in watching. There's the ball. Keep throwing. Good. Go ahead and set that down, Marilyn. All right, excellent. Give yourselves a hand. All right. You notice somehow you could really sometimes you could really visualize the ball, and sometimes you couldn't. When we could really visualize it, it was more interesting. And the people who were engaged in passing that back and forth were more interesting to watch, more engaged in making some sort of delivery or receiving information. I like to use that metaphor. You're giving and receiving information when you're making the presentation or when you're listening to the presentation, so you want that level of engagement. And you also want to think about how you could really invest physically in creating that story for your audience. Any comments before we move on? Lavanya, what did you think? Did you think that zip, zap, zoom helped you stabilize a little bit?
I didn't stay even for the first round.
You what?
I thought I lost the first round.
All right. Well, did you know? Well, maybe did you get anything before the first round in terms of balance? Balance. All right. Let's everyone sit down. Lavanya, why don't you try your presentation again? Yeah. All right. So come up, stand there. All right. Good zip zap zoom position. All right. Swipe into the knees. Okay. All right. So stay in that position. Give us your presentation.
Just a second to think about it. Hello, everybody. Should I just squat?
Whatever's comfortable. Hands in zip zap zoom. Yeah. Okay.
Hello, everybody. Should I be doing this?
Just try your presentation, but use that physicality to keep you stable.
So hello everybody, my name is Lavanya and I'm here to present about marathon running and a little bit of the background and history of marathon and also the benefits and risks of running a marathon. So I wanted to share with you guys how the name marathon was coined.
Okay, stop for a minute. You see how you're still doing a little bit of sway? All right, so try to imagine that you're pushing something out of us as a means of remaining stable. Does that make sense? So if you feel like you have energy you want to get rid of, imagine you're pushing it out here, not back and forth. Okay.
So let's just talk about a little bit of the benefits of running. So running has a lot of benefits, like it's a huge de-stressor, and it's proven to combat depression. It has a lot of physical benefits like losing weight, maintaining your weight, and fighting against diabetes. It helps reduce diabetes, the risk of diabetes, cholesterol, heart disease, a lot of things. And the risks that come along with running are injuries, depending on the state of your body and depending on the kind of training you do, you can go anywhere from minor injuries to major injuries. And also the risk of fatality. A lot of people, it's just a lot of times you just drop dead. I've seen people do that in the middle of the race. It's probably because the body is not capable of taking that kind of pressure, or it's the heat, the dehydration, a lot of these things.
Okay, let me stop you there. Thank you for bearing with me. Do we notice the difference when she's not swaying back and forth? Makes a big difference. All right. It was not a huge difference, but it was a good, solid, substantial improvement. All right. So go ahead and have a seat. Thank you. All right. Jim, can you try it one more time for us?
I can.
All right.
It might be like approximately similar, you know.
Okay. Remember what I suggested. It's just, so go ahead and come on up. To just remain stable the entire time and keep your good eye contact and good hand gestures. All right, but just come forward, zip, zap, zoom position. Yeah. Okay, yes. Good, all right, fire away.
So my name is Jim Jordan. I'm here to talk to you about why reusable rocket technology is going to revolutionize the spaceflight industry and how it's going to benefit us in the very near future. There's a lot of money to be saved by reusing the most expensive part of a rocket, and Elon Musk has figured out how to do that. When you save money, $10 to $15 million per launch, you can put that money towards other things, like putting satellites into space. You can use it for more experiments in space, putting additional crew on the space station. And when you do this, we as citizens reap the rewards of these endeavors. The way they do it is not really that important. What you need to understand is that there's 3 stages to the rocket. There's a main stage, an inner stage, and the...
Good. Stop. Okay, so all I asked Jim to do was just remain stable, because his eye contact and gestures were already so good. Did that make a difference? Mm-hmm. What was better?
I don't remember his sway. Can you do it again, sway?
I feel like I kind of just because it's like, it feels unnatural for me to like stand here. I'm kind of like, okay, I'm standing, like it's awkward because I'm like a...
Oh, you felt more awkward the second time?
Yeah, I guess all that matters is how you guys perceived me presenting. Like what I thought probably didn't count for as much, but like for me, I'm typically like, even when I'm in my office, like I stand on the phone. Like I don't sit and take phone calls. Just
Okay.
I don't know why. I just so
Okay,
it's like
well,
natural for me to kind of.
The fact that we like the second run better is definitely an important point, but still we want something that's sustainable for you. So we'll find a way if we can to mesh those two out.
So I thought the second time it seemed more focused, and you were professional the first time, but this time it was, over the top professional, had our attention. But my question is it, for some people, are they able to walk around a bit? I think I do it more out of a nervous habit that I kind of walk around the room. So do some people are better off to stand still and others to move around, or do you think that varies?
It tends to vary. Some people I will say move less, and some people I will say move more. In Jim's case, because he already had such great eye contact and great gestures, I felt that the movement was just distracting him. And he could capture some of the intensity of his message by remaining still.
Yeah, what I think about when we discuss this is the Steve Jobs unveiling presentations, where he would pace a little bit and seem very pensive in doing so, but he would also turn back to the audience for a lot of key moments, or he would use his focus on the audience to really drive home certain points within his presentation. And I kind of like that when someone is pacing around a little bit and is clearly thinking while they're presenting and then looking at the audience 80% of the time.
Okay, good. So I think we saw one really good example of stability increasing the effectiveness of the presentation. Let's see if we can think of an example of a little extra movement helping the presentation. Okay, so Alex, remember we said that it looked like you were stiff, and it looked to me like you were not relaxed. It was good open body language. So let's think about using just a little bit of movement. And actually, now that I think about it, there's a movement exercise we didn't do, but we'll have to make do. So come back up for us, Alex, and think about adding a few of those engaged gestures like you did with Zip Zap Zoom. And not only that, but you're ready to gesture at any time. It's not like you're engaged when you gesture and then back to stiff. It's hands forward for me. Yeah. All right, go. Start talking.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Torresano. Today, I'm here to talk to everyone about the importance of getting good sleep and about the detrimental effects of sleep deprivation. So, not getting enough sleep every day causes people to increase their chances of type 2 diabetes, increases their risk for obesity, and it has shown to correlate with high blood pressure as well. It also has damaging effects to the mind. For example, it diminishes our creativity, it reduces our reaction time, and it affects our memory as well. And there's useful techniques that everyone here can try to promote better sleep patterns. Some of those include practicing good stress and time management.
Okay, good. Let me stop you there. So we made a slight change. Do we notice a difference?
I thought he had a little bit more energy this time.
More energy?
He's more relaxed, and
More
that
relaxed?
keeps you in the conversation and more into it.
Yeah, Mike?
He seemed a little more excited about it, a little more, he really wanted to push the message forward, not just get it out.
Push the message forward. Are you saying that just to make me happy? Or actually believe that? All right, either way, I'll take it.
I also thought a little bit more of his personality came out in this presentation.
Ah, okay, so with a slight change, all right, I think really all I said was, well, he's doing Zip Zap Zoom, is I want to see you engaged the whole time, not just when you're doing the zip. So he was physically engaged the whole time, more personality, more engaged.
I thought it was better this time. I think what would make it even better is if some of the movements correlated to what he was saying. Then it would be really, then I would say always move.
Okay.
Then it's like emphasizing the point. So when he moves his leg forward, if that correlated to a point he's making, and then when you move your leg back somehow, I don't know how to do it, but I'm just saying, if you were to somehow do that, I think then the movements, I would appreciate it even more.
Yeah, and I think that will come. And if I'd let him talk longer, you would have said, oh, it correlated at this point, didn't correlate at this point. And he could get there. All right, great. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, Evan, we talked about how you had very animated gestures, which were good. You had a very charming way of delivering your presentation, but I wanted you to control those gestures just a tiny bit. And by controlling them, I mean like zip, zap, zoom controlling them. When you have a purpose for making the zip, make the zip, the zap, the zoom, all right, instead of too much. You want to give it a shot?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Hi everybody, my name is Evan and I'm here to talk to you about superhero movies. I think they're great and I think you should too. So the superhero movies started, we're going to concentrate on the late 90s, but the history goes back to the 1930s, 1940s, the golden era of comic books and television kind of at the same time. They came up together and you saw TV shows like Superman, eventually the Batman show, Batman became a movie in 1966, and so on up and through until the 1990s. That's really where we started.
All right, let me stop you for 1 second. So do this for me, Evan. I want you to have your hands and your knees in zip, zap, zoom position most of the time.
Okay.
All right, and add in a gesture or two when you feel fit, when you feel it is fit.
Okay.
And then when you're done with the gesture, go back to zip, zap, zoom position.
All right.
So if you're talking superheroes in 1940s, yada, yada, back to the super, and this.
I feel like I'm about to sing opera. Like, is there a better way to
What? Tell me what's comfortable for you. What's the good resting position for you?
I mean, I do this a lot, I guess, but this seems too...
All right, I don't like that. Can you give me a second? Can you give me another choice?
I guess big leaf or something? That sounds good.
Try this for me. Just
okay.
Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Okay. So stable. Don't move unless you're going to make a gesture, and then back to that engaged zip zap.
Okay. Hi everybody. My name's Evan. I'm here to talk to you about superhero movies, how great they are, and why I think you should think they're great too. The history of superhero movies starts.
Okay. Stop. When did you do it? You're kind of leaning back.
Yeah, this is weird to me. This feels so strange.
You were leaning back even before.
Was that? Oh, okay.
But you're still leaning back. So try to think about leaning forward as if you're going to push something at the audience.
Okay.
Go.
All right. Hello, my name is Evan. I'm here to talk to you about superhero movies. I think they're great. I think you should too. Superhero movies started way back in the 1940s. Way back in the 1940s, where we start seeing things like comic books and television. They all started coming up together through World War II, and then up through the 60s, 70s, you see some of them every now and then. But it's really not until the 1990s or so where we start seeing a steady stream of movies happening. In the early 90s, you'll see one or two. All the way up through 2016, we start to see a lot more of them. And if you were to look at the number of movies that come out over that period, it goes from maybe one or two in the early 90s, all the way up through a peak of 8 or 9, and we're up to 5 of them. About per year.
Good. Excellent. I think we made a little progress.
Okay.
I think I might have you come back up again when we have to do some eye contact exercise stuff.
Cool.
We're on the right track, for sure. So, that brings me to our next subject, eye contact. So, do we want to make eye contact with our audience, or do we want to look down? We want to make eye contact with our audience, of course. How does eye contact help us as a presenter? Daniel. I faked you out there.
Yeah. You establish a connect. When you look right at them, they feel like the message is straight to them, and they really receive it a lot more than when you kind of survey.
Yeah, the message is straight to them. I love the way you put that. Anything to add, David?
It can cause people to focus on what you're saying again. So if they're daydreaming and you look at them, they notice and they pay attention again.
Yes. All right. Engages their attention. Emily.
Keep tabs on your audience, see what they seem to be understanding versus what's going over their head.
Critical. So if your audience is going like this, you're going to slow down a little bit. You may back up. You may say, oh, is there a question? You don't want to be the person who keeps talking when your audience is going like this. Anything else to add? Nick?
It helps kind of assert somewhat of a dominant standpoint with the audience that you're confident you know what you're talking about. If you look at the ground, you kind of lose credibility.
Yeah, why do you lose credibility if you look at the ground? Somebody help us out here. Yeah.
You look like you're hoping nobody guesses that you don't know what you're talking about.
Like you're hiding something?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, look me in the eye when you say that. You're hiding something. I'm going to be able to tell you're hiding something. Or you're hiding that you actually know what you're talking about, or that you don't. So we want to use eye contact because it helps us connect with our audience and has all those benefits that you mentioned. The only question is, or a couple questions. One, how do we manage it? Do we stare at one person the whole time? Or do we look at one person for 1 second and just kind of spread our eye contact? And the other question is, how do we force ourselves to do that? How do we do something that is typically a little bit awkward for us, making consistent eye contact? So 2 questions. How do we manage it? And 2, how do we remind ourselves to do it? In terms of how we manage it, we don't stare at one person the whole time, of course. I like to recommend stare at one person for 5 to 10 seconds, and then move on to someone else. 5 to 10 seconds is a fairly long time. It's not 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, half a second. It's a length of a time to say a full thought. A peer of mine in the presentation consulting business, Tamara Jacobs, uses the acronym STOP. It stands for single thought, one person. So 1 thought at Vishali, make eye contact the whole time, and then I move on to the 2nd thought, I'm looking at Jose. And then I move on to the 3rd thought, eye contact at Jameson, so on and so forth. I recommend managing eye contact with one of those 2 techniques. Single thought, one person, or 5 to 10 seconds at one person, and then on to someone else. Remind them that this content is important to them long enough to, or stare at them long enough to remind them of that. So, next question. How do we get ourselves to do something that is sometimes a little awkward in our society of making consistent eye contact? You'll be happy to know I've got some exercises which will help us practice that. So let's come up and do some eye contact exercises. All right, yes, let's get back in our circle. All right, this is going to be challenging because we're in a tight space, but we can do it. This first exercise is called Eye Connect. How it works, I'll describe the instructions to you and then we'll do it. You will initially put your head down in kind of a rock star waiting position. Don't do it yet, just watch me. And then when I say start the exercise, we'll bring your head up. You will make eye contact with someone around the circle. And when you make eye contact with that person, you will switch places with them in the circle. You will do this all silently. And once you finish switching places with that person, you'll make eye contact with someone else and switch places with them. And you will continue for a minute or so, and then we'll stop and debrief. Now, there'll be a lot of people moving all at once, so be very careful and watch out for this little thing. The key is that you maintain eye contact the whole time that you're switching places with this person in the circle. All right, we break eye contact. And a question, Lavanya?
What if they don't make eye contact with me?
Oh. That is my favorite. That is my favorite question ever. Thank you so much for asking. Can someone answer it for me? What if they don't make eye contact with me? Then you have not made eye contact. If they don't make eye contact with you, you have not made eye contact. It takes 2 to make eye contact. Does that make sense? So you'll know. You'll know. When eye contact is made, you'll know. If they're looking at someone else, then they're not ready to switch places with you in the circle. Any other questions? Let's just do it, and then we can debrief why I'm having you do this silly thing in a minute. All right, so heads down, rock star waiting position. Heads up, and begin the exercise. Good, yeah. All right, you don't have to put your head down and reset every time.
me the best.
Good. Eye contact the whole time, Ricky. Good, Dan. Good, Evan. That's it. All right, stop for a second. Go back to your place in the circle. All right, good. So why am I having you do this exercise? Very. Why is it uncomfortable?
Support. Walking towards someone while making constant eye contact is just naturally uncomfortable.
Okay, so, well, I would argue that you make eye contact for about this long when you're giving a presentation. At least I hope you do. But when you're giving a presentation, you're actually talking. So it's a little less awkward. This exercise shows us how much we can really engage someone, and we can practice engaging them for that 5 to 10 seconds. But it's a little awkward as we're pushing the envelope and getting used to it. Any other thoughts on why I'm having you do this?
I know one thing that I get out of it was a lot of unspoken visual cues. So I would look at someone, they would look at me, and we kind of take a second to wonder if we're skipping each other, and then I'd see a head nod or they acknowledge that I'm recognizing them, and I just go off of those cues now.
So much communication happens non-verbally, and this is just to give us a chance to peek at it. Daniel?
When you're maintaining eye contact and walking at the same time, you kind of have to focus on keeping it while doing some other simultaneous activity. So sometimes when I'm presenting and I try to hold the contact, I might forget what I'm thinking, but so I'm trying to do two things at once.
Yes, yes, and this is a reality. This happens. This especially happens when I'm doing this actual workshop, and I throw this at people when they're not really ready for it, and they're like, I completely forgot. But we have to balance that. We have to realize that sometimes we get so engaged we forget, but it's okay. We say, where was I? Mike?
I think there's a difference between looking at someone and actually making eye contact. So like you could be looking at someone, but actually not looking at their eyes, and really seeing if you're grasping their attention.
Okay, so what happened during this exercise that makes you say that? What did you learn? What was
You realize what actual eye contact is.
Wow, again, it's 2 times. You're trying to make me feel good here. I did my exercise, and you realized what actual eye contact was. All right, I think we're almost ready to go home. Just getting to that point. Saeed, did you have one thing to finish up with?
Yeah, I guess for like the receiver, the person listening, like when someone makes eye contact with you, then you kind of forget about everything else. So as soon as someone made eye contact with me, like I was kind of searching for someone who's making eye contact, and then I found that person, and then I forgot about everyone else, and I'm just focusing on that person walking. So it really helps to narrow the person's vision and focus on that person.
Focus on your audience. Why not? Why not forget about everything other than trying to communicate something valuable to your audience? And to think about
both ways. It's the person receiving and the person giving it.
okay, even better. So your audience, you want your audience to forget about everything else except for receiving your message. That's great. I like it. One last thing, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm standing here like, well, why isn't anybody looking at me? So as an audience member, I would empathize with the person talking. If I'm not really looking at them, that's, well, I'm looking at them, why aren't they looking at me? You know?
Okay, so, all right, so as an audience member.
I would look more directly at the person talking.
Oh, to make them feel better?
Like, to let them know I'm paying attention. And I'm standing here like, I'm looking for somebody to look at me.
Yeah. So you don't really notice that if you spend most of your time in the audience. You get up and you practice a presentation and you realize how great it is when people are actually looking at you and paying attention to you. So it's great if your audience does that. If they don't, you can get them to look back at you by looking at them. It can be unnerving sometimes when a speaker looks at you. This is why we don't stare at them for more than 5 to 10 seconds. But 5 to 10 seconds is enough to get them to say, oh I guess I better put the phone down, or I guess I better pay attention. Great thoughts. Let's take those lessons and move on to the next exercise. This is called, I forget what it's called. It's called A's, B's, I something. So let's divide you into 2 groups. Jim and Saeed sort of move a little bit this way. Is that about even? No? that about even? It's even? All right, fine, Daniel, you go to this side. All right, great. Fine. You all are A's. You all are B's. You're going to walk around silently and make eye contact with your classmates. Who did I say are A's? A's, you're A's? A's, your job is to make eye contact as long as possible, whether you're making eye contact with another A or with a B, as long as possible, A's. B's, you want to make eye contact and look away real quick. Eye contact, look away. Eye contact, look away. Wait, whether you're making eye contact with each other or with an A. So you all, eye contact and look away real quick. You all, eye contact as long as possible until you essentially walk past that person. Does that make sense? As long as possible, look away real quick.
We're still switching positions, right?
No, we're going to walk around like we're in a pinball game, just like we did with the space substance exercise. So go ahead, start walking around aimlessly in our little square space, rectangle space. A's as long as possible. B's, look away real quick. Good, good. Now I want you to switch roles. All right, if you were an A before, now you're going to be a B. If you're a B, now you're going to be an A. Continue walking around, just switch roles. So if you were making eye contact consistently before, you're going to look away. If you were looking away real quick, now you're going to make eye contact consistently. These eye contact exercises can provoke laughter. I like it. More, I like what I like even more is what happened. Why did it make you feel uncomfortable, and what did you learn from that? Yes?
As a B, I felt I was more rude. Someone else was looking at me, and I'm like, nope. And yeah, and then some people, when I was in A, were looking up, and they were not looking at me, so that made me feel bad.
Okay, so when you were trying to make eye contact with people and they didn't look back at you, it
Yeah.
made you feel like, what?
Yeah,
What's wrong?
and the other way around, I felt rude when I didn't.
Okay, okay. What else?
So as an A, when you were making eye contact for the longest time and you met another A, you got to an awkward stage. and you realize you've been looking at them too long.
So I've gotten my point across. Now I can tune into someone else. We have to push the envelope a little bit to find out where the limit is, right? All right, what else? Anything? So, which role made you feel more confident?
A.
Typically A, but sometimes I'll get a contrarian. Do you want to just speak to contrarian B?
No, I felt more easier just looking and looking down because I didn't want to keep staring at somebody for too long.
So I might suggest it's scary when you take that leap and really try to connect with your audience or connect with someone. But we want to see your genuine thoughts. We want to hear a presentation that is important to you. Put yourself on the line when you're making that presentation. I worked all night on this conclusion. Here it is. Nobody's going to want you for anything that you're just faking your way through. Nobody's going to want you for the type of presentation that you can give and just look at the ground. Just not. So, A's typically look more confident. typically feel more confident, and that's the kind of presenter that we want to be. All right, let's move on to the next exercise, the last eye contact exercise. I like to joke about this one a little bit before I start. It is called Stare at Your Partner for 60 Seconds. So, I suggest you choose your partner very carefully. Because at the end of this 60 seconds, they're going to know all your intimate secrets. You will not be able to hide from this person. So, go ahead and choose your partner. I'll get the stopwatch ready. And don't start the exercise yet. All right, so go ahead and find your own space. So come find your partner, and then come find your own space here.
No.
All right, do we have a... Okay, so I guess Al and I have to do it?
Oh boy.
All right, fine. I hate it when there's an odd number of people and I have to do this. All right, so there's no talking during this exercise. We'll do it for a minute and then we'll talk about why. Ready, go. $20 seconds now. All right, want to keep going? All right. Wow. Boy, that was intense. That was great. I haven't had to do that one in a while. And it reminds me, the main reason I do this is the expectation of action that eye contact creates. You can't look at someone for very long without them expecting something to happen. And it's so overwhelming that, at least in our case, we made up stuff. Like, we have to, do some sort of weird stuff. We have to, wink at each other. It's not, I don't remember exactly what happened. But, you feel like you have to do something. And the takeaway, I think, is how powerful that is when you use eye contact during your presentation. When you look at someone, they're expecting you to do something, expecting you to say something important, and you will have their attention. You use it to make your point for 5 to 10 seconds, and you speak to someone else. Any other thoughts on that particular exercise? Renee?
I may have cheated a little bit because I just kept counting. So I wasn't focused. I'm looking at the person in their eye, but I'm not focusing on being connected with this person. I'm just like, 1, 2, I got this. 4, I got this.
Who's your
and then
partner?
I'm just like tapping.
Okay, all right.
But I don't know how he felt.
How did you feel?
I feel awkward. Just the same. I was counting when you said there's only 20 seconds left. They were like, feel like 1 minute.
Okay, so you were awkward. I think that it's interesting. So Renew, if she was the presenter, she was awkward and she was counting, and you felt awkward in your own space too. Maybe you could have thought about how awkward she was feeling, and that would have made you feel better.
Probably. That was
Yeah. The pressure's on her, not me. And
I think somewhere around halfway, maybe 30 seconds, instead of taking shallow breaths, I started focusing on taking a deeper breath, and then somehow just the eye contact became less awkward. So I think when you make it awkward, when you yourself feel awkward, the recipient also does. But when you as a presenter kind of calm down and take a deep breath and hold it, then it doesn't necessarily make it as awkward.
Yes, yes. So if at least one person can be calm during this interaction, and if that's you as the presenter, that could help your whole audience. And deeper breaths too. After 30 seconds, you realize, I gotta do this. Let me just calm down and get through it.
The giggling stops somewhere after the 30 seconds.
Okay. Okay.
So I have one question.
Yes.
So is there a technique, when you're that close making eye contact, should you look at one eye versus the other? Because if you go back and forth, that's kind of awkward too. So it's almost like if you can find a focal point.
Not if it's a lazy
If you
eye.
look at like the middle.
Yeah.
Not if it's a lazy eye, you don't stare at that.
Done?
I've done this with somebody who has a lazy eye lens, and it's very distracting.
Okay. All right. So what? Let me.
Definitely.
Okay. Okay. One second. So let me answer Al's question. There's no real takeaway about how you can do this in real life because you won't ever do this in real life, hopefully. But this is just a chance to push the envelope to get us comfortable staring at someone for 5 to 10 seconds while we're actually talking. And this is an extreme example of how that expectation of action can help us, and it's not actually something we would do in real life. Emily, you were saying?
I was on a play once, my teacher told me to do this exercise with somebody that has amblyopia, so her eye was like just drifted the whole time, and I couldn't do it. It's just, she's like, Brian didn't like it, we were just laughing about it. I was like, this is very distracting.
Okay, so how did you feel about the eye contact exercises? Do you feel like they would help you connect during your presentation?
But I'm definitely gonna feel awkward.
You'll feel awkward anyway? All right, well let's try it. Everyone sit down and let's try Emily once again. So I thought of you for both sets of exercises, Emily. I want to see you in zip zap zoom position with the slight bend in your knees, ready to push something at us or receive something from us. And I also want 5 to 10 seconds of eye contact. Okay, one person and you move on. All right, go for it.
Hi, my name is Emily. I, like you, am a student at business school, and I am a lifelong learner of Spanish. I want to tell you about how learning Spanish can help you in your professional career.
Okay, stop. All right. What, do we notice a difference? What's the difference?
She seems a lot more relaxed and calm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to distract you by standing up.
No.
More relaxed and calm? What else?
She holds the contact. She holds the eye contact.
Yeah, she did. She took my note, but did it actually make a difference in her presentation? Did you say this one was much better?
Yeah.
And why? I guess we'll just stop with much better. Okay. I like that.
You were addressing us rather than just speaking about a topic.
Yeah. I noticed a world of difference. Did it feel different?
Yeah, I feel calmer right now.
Okay.
I was forced to listen to them.
Oh, yes. Forced to listen to her. Okay, excellent. How are we doing for time here? What is it? It's 8 o'clock. Do you want to take a quick break? 8 o'clock already? Are you serious? We're having fun. All right. Jameson. Can we keep going? Let's keep going? Let's keep going? All right. Jameson. Where's Jameson? He's gone. All right. Nick. I noticed a slight lean back, and I also noticed that you were going fast. And I want you to try the 5 to 10 seconds of eye contact. And it's not going to slow you down a lot, but see if it slows you down just a tiny, tiny bit. Sure. Go for it.
Try to do it at the visual. So my name's Nicholas Lara, and today I'm going to give you 5 reasons or 5 ways to better improve your LinkedIn presence. Okay? The first way to